it's day one of our Advent journey together, so it's time to introduce our Advent calendar. I'm sure many of you are already familiar with one of these, but for those of you who aren't, it's pretty simple. This one that I have is really just a piece of cardboard with an image of the nativity scene and cut out windows numbered 1 to 25, one for each day until we get to Christmas. Others are much more elaborate. You can literally spend hundreds of dollars for one of these, and it's more like a work of art or a piece of furniture, but they all basically perform the same function. The idea is that you open one window each day, and there'll be a little icon behind it along with a scripture, which can be used as a daily devotional leading up to Christmas Day. Now, on this calendar, the 25 windows are placed on here more or less randomly, and the numbers are not always easy to see, so you might have to hunt a bit to find it. So let's see if we can find number one. Okay, here it is right here. It's in the lower left quadrant, and it's kind of on the shoulder of the wise man here. So now if you have a different calendar, yours might be completely different, including the message that's behind the window. So only if you're using this one will it be exactly the same. But let's see what our scripture is for today. So we have a picture of what looks like the Bethlehem star, along with a quote from Isaiah 9:1, "The people who walked in darkness have seen a great light." Well, it's true that the Star of Bethlehem was a great light that was seen by many who were walking in darkness during Jesus' time as a baby in Bethlehem. But there's much more to this scripture than just the Bethlehem star. Let me back up a little and read a bit more of the passage in context. If we go to Isaiah and back to chapter 8, verse 11, the Lord is telling the prophet Isaiah that a time would come when the people of Israel would be looking for answers in all the wrong places. Then picking up in chapter 8, verse 19, it reads, "And when they say to you, 'Seek those who are mediums and wizards, who whisper and mutter,' should not a people seek their God? Should they seek the dead on behalf of the living? To the law and to the testimony. If they do not speak according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. They will pass through it, hard-pressed and hungry, and it shall happen when they are hungry that they will be enraged and curse their king and their God and look upward. Then they will look to the earth and see trouble and darkness, gloom of anguish, and they will be driven into darkness. Nevertheless, the gloom will not be upon her who is distressed, as when at first he lightly esteemed the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali, and afterward more heavily oppressed her by the way of the sea beyond the Jordan, in Galilee of the Gentiles. The people who walked in darkness have seen a great light. Those who dwell in the land of the shadow of death, upon them a light has shined." Now, these first few verses are probably a reference to what was going on, or what was going to happen in Israel during Isaiah's lifetime, when the Assyrians would come and take them into captivity because of their disobedience and disbelief. But then it gives way to a future time, albeit a similar situation, when a light would come that would shine through the darkness. And notice that it indicates that the Gentiles will be more responsive to that light than Israel. This is a great description of the Bethlehem star, for it was wise men from the east, Gentile magi, that saw and followed the star and understood what it meant. But this is also a reference to Jesus' ministry in Galilee among both Jews and Gentiles who lived there, and how his ministry would ultimately apply to both. You see, it's Jesus himself that is the light they are responding to, his teachings, his miraculous signs, and his character as the Son of God, deity incarnate. I think it's fair to say that these days, 2 millennia later, here in the United States, that people are still walking in darkness and looking for answers in all the wrong places. Many of them will even celebrate Christmas without thinking about the story of Jesus' birth. Jesus is still the light that they need. But now you and I take the place of those wise men. It's our job to draw attention to the light. So as you prepare for Christmas this year, you'll probably do things like string up lights on your house or put up and decorate a Christmas tree or listen to Christmas music, things like that. And these things are fine, but a lot of people will do those things without giving a second thought to Jesus. So how will you and I, as Christians, celebrate this holiday differently that we might draw attention to the light of Jesus? I know that's a challenge to my heart. And if you have any good ideas, why don't you post them for all to read or send it to us by email so that we can share it with others. Thanks for listening today. God bless and Merry Christmas.